From Careco TV, one of the longest-running outdoor programs on television today. Exploring the country and the coast in search of adventures. From the mountains of the Great Northwest to the shores of the Atlantic Ocean. This is Americana Outdoors, presented by Garmin. This week, Americana Outdoors is in New Zealand for the hunt of a lifetime. Last season, Wade Middleton and Thompson Center's Danielle Sanville went after the magnificent red stag on Glen Dene hunting and fishing properties between Lake Wanka and Lake Hawea.
Well done. Look at look at that. I mean, there's just points going everywhere. You got to go to the gym just to hold these guys up. What a beast. I mean, what a beast. Look at all that.
Wade finally got his great New Zealand red stag for his collection, but during their pack-out, the cameraman Rusty got injured on his way down the mountain.
Well, he decided to jump off a cliff against everything we told him not to do.
Now that Rusty's injury was taken care of, Thompson Center's Danielle Sanville was ready to go out looking for her red stag.
Our position was actually about 200 yards away, and I zeroed my TC compass in for 200 yards. With a 6.5 Creedmoor, we thought that a lot of our shots were going to be probably 200 plus yards, so we knew exactly where to hold on this animal.
That's a good shot there, right in the back of that shoulder.
Is he not quite up yet?
That's a good shot there if you want to take it. Just through the edge of that fern into his shoulder. I'm pretty sure that was a hit. Don't be afraid to put another one in him. You're right, I think he's going to go down.
Oh, he stopped.
Well done.
Oh.
Wow, he's big.
Oh, he's got a dropper.
Oh, yay!
That is beautiful.
Ah! And then we had to make an executive decision. How are we going to get this animal down, and how are we going to get down? So we actually took the head off, and we carried the head separately, and then the body is actually what we use to clear a path down the mountain for us.
Woo! Now that's a rack.
After epic red stag hunts, Wade and Danielle have eyes for fallow deer of New Zealand. The fallow deer is native to Europe, but has been introduced to many countries around the world, including New Zealand in 1860. With distinctive flat-paddled antlers more similar to a moose than a red stag, fallow deer have the most diverse range of colors of all the deer species. Their coats can vary from black, white, brown, or yellow. Wade and Danielle were heading to the shooting range for sighting in their TC rifles and getting ready for their hunts.
So the Compass is our, what I would consider our entry-level bolt-action rifle, but it is one of those rifles that even though it's entry-level, It is jam-packed with features and benefits. All of them come threaded with standard threading. It comes with a rotary magazine that fits 5 in the rotary mag. It has a 3-position safety, which is a huge benefit in all sorts of terrain all over the United States and in New Zealand as well. The weather here in New Zealand goes from hot and sunny to freezing cold and sideways rains. You know, it was a challenge for me as a person, but for these guns, it was a challenge to see how they would hold up, and man, it looks brand new still. So it was a good choice for us to bring on this hunt.
Well, coming up, Thompson Center's Danielle Sanville was going after the majestic fallow deer of New Zealand.
We know if you found one crappie, you may have found 1,000. We know the joy of getting your boots back in the mud. We know the journey can be more rewarding than the destination. We know the great outdoors. We love the great outdoors. Bass Pro Shops and Cabela's. Stop by today for huge savings on the gear you need and the brands you trust. Plus free 2-day shipping at BassPro.com and Cabela's.com.
How do you aim a 36-yard shot with a 30-yard fixed pin at a 15-degree angle with a 7-inch holdover without moving a single pin? Easy. You get one of these. Zero, the auto-ranging digital bow sight from Garmin.
Americana Outdoors, presented by Garmin, is brought to you by Garmin Zero. Leave the guesswork behind. Bass Pro Shops and Cabela's. Your adventure starts here. Thompson Center, America's master gunmaker. And by Yamaha's proven off-road ATV and side-by-side vehicles. Welcome back to Americana Outdoors. We're with Thompson Center's Danielle Sanville on her first fallow deer hunt in New Zealand with Glen Hunting and Fishing.
You know, hunting a fallow deer in New Zealand, what a special treat all the way around. You know, we were there for a red stag. We'd harvested a couple of big red stag earlier in the week, still had some time left, and Danielle Sanville from Thompson Center and myself, you know, both had our eye on these big fallow. I had actually seen several fallow during my red stag hunt, and kind of was like, okay, there's some big ones over here. I definitely want to, you know, take the opportunity if I get a chance, just because it's such a unique animal. We can travel home with the meat from New Zealand. They can grow to be, you know, fairly large and big body size as they get mature, and they make excellent table fare. I mean, they are very popular actually all across the world for their taste. And I'm just in awe of fallow anytime I see them. You know, when you look at the palmated antlers and all the different tines, and if you can harvest one early in the year before they get in the rut and where they start fighting and start brooming them off, I mean, everything about them will be perfect.
So we started on one side of the piece of property, and we spotted the fallow way up on a hill. And we decided, because the wind was blowing in the wrong direction, it would have been on our back and blowing right towards the fallow, and he would have winded us, that we decided we were going to get back in the vehicle and we were going to drive around the other side, and then we were going to hike up and we were going to kind of flank up behind him so that the wind would be, you know, to our favor. Again, I'm carrying the rifle in my pack and everything, and we go up the top of the mountain, and Wade has got the camera equipment and the big tripod and everything, and we're hiking through there, and Dan, rock star again, is just ridiculous. He's no problem, he doesn't even seem like he's breathing hard. It's just amazing. So we continued to walk around to where he was and where we had previously seen him. And so we slowly are walking and looking through the bushes, thinking maybe he's bedded down or maybe he's still feeding. And that's when I started to get a little bit kind of depressed almost, because I thought, oh, maybe we took too long and he's gone. And we keep walking, and then he pops up like literally like 10 yards in front of me. We're all totally caught off guard. Wade's trying to get the camera ready. Dan is trying to get my sticks out for me. And then he starts to take off a little bit. And then he popped out right in front of us again. He just went down instantly. So it was a great shot, 6.5 Thompson Center compass, performed flawlessly again, and that Hornady ammunition, it was just a great combination for this hunt.
Oh, that was funny. Oh crap, he's right there. Thank you again. Thank you, Wade. We've seen a lot of animal here. A lot of animals. And free chase, fallow here.
It's beautiful.
It's absolutely beautiful.
Look at all these points.
Yeah.
So the fallow have just lost their velvet probably 2 weeks ago. So they've got all their nice points. As soon as they start to rut in about 3 weeks, they'll knock all these points off and the whole horn will almost end up flat like that, right around. They're real scrappers.
So this is the best time to get them
Best
then?
time, yep, they got their best skins.
Wonderful.
These fallow bucks actually will beat up a red stag. They chase them around, believe it or not.
Really?
Yep, they're quite
Their
aggressive.
body size is so much smaller than the stag.
Yeah, they're just aggressive,
Scrappy.
scrappy.
So I've never actually seen a fallow before. It's the first time. And they are just absolutely stunning. The great thing about it is that when you're glassing for them, their palms really just pop out there. So when we saw him a little earlier today, you were able to point him out pretty easily to me. And I admit that finding animals out here for me is a little bit tricky because I don't really know what I'm looking for, and the terrain is very different as well. So, but this is an absolutely beautiful animal.
So here at Glen we have a lot of different coloured fallow. We have black ones or chocolate ones. We have this redder coloured ones, and we have the white ones. They often start off red early season like this, and by the end of the season they'll be quite grey. So this is probably the best time, you know, to get them. And we have a lot of fallow all over the property, free range. They're all through the property, and this is a nice buck.
Yeah.
They often get these back scratches, we call them. So they often get a big long back scratcher in here.
This one's up. I love this. It's beautiful. There's just so much character to the palms.
Yeah, they're a pretty animal. Very pretty. Very tasty. Some say they're the best.
Wonderful.
Americana Outdoors will be right back with more fallow deer hunting in the picturesque backdrop of New Zealand.
The all-new Yamaha Wolverine X2. With a compact chassis perfect for exploring tight technical terrain. An ultra-quiet and smooth 850 class twin-cylinder engine. And next-level versatility with a 600-pound dumping cargo bed. No other side-by-side delivers this level of proven off-road performance. The all-new Wolverine X2 from Yamaha.
Americana Outdoors, presented by Garmin, has been brought to you by High Viz. See what you've been missing. Sawyer Products. Sawyer, we keep you outdoors. And by Performance Center by Smith & Wesson. Performance when it matters most. Welcome back to Americana Outdoors. We're on the fallow deer hunts in New Zealand. After Thompson Center's Danielle Sanville had successfully harvested a beautiful one on the mountain between Lake Wanka and Lake Hawea. Now it's time for Wade Middleton to go after this magnificent deer of New Zealand. Rusty Weed, our cameraman, got injured during the red stag hunt, so today Wade recruits Angel Middleton to work on Garmin's Verb camera in case they have to go down the steep hill looking for fallow deer.
You know, when I first encountered fallow deer, I was a young guy on a hunting ranch in South Texas, and you know, you would see them in the brush, and you would see them in water holes, and you'd see them out in wide open areas, and I was just amazed by fallow deer. I loved the palmated antlers and the stories about fallow deer and how aggressive they were towards each other in the breeding season. And they're, you know, I go back to, you know, not only the guiding days of taking people to shoot and harvest fallows, but a crossbow hunt that I had in Texas up on a tripod, really just kind of setting out and hunting, and a beautiful white fallow came from my left. I just stopped him, made a perfect heart shot with my 10-point. Fallow doesn't go 40 yards, and now I have him on the wall. And then traveling to New Zealand and being able to hunt fallow in those hills and valleys. So I'm a big fan of fallow deer, all color faces, and you know, I've still got a couple of different colors out there that I want to harvest in some of my future trips. Well, here's the scenario. We got some twists to this one. While we were on our recent red stag hunt, Rusty took a fall. So he's gonna have to stay a little bit behind us, actually capture the stock. Behind us, we got Angel, who's carrying the verbs. And Dan and I are gonna try to get down in there and get some of the shots. And these fallow are down this valley here. Whether it works or not, doesn't really matter. It's gonna be a fun hunt. You know, as you look at this hunt, it really wasn't even supposed to happen while we're here in New Zealand. We basically took the day off and decided not to go on a tar hunt. And I kept flashing my mind back to all these big fallow that we had seen in some of the valleys while we were red stag hunting. So, you know, Rusty kept saying, I'm good. And Dan kind of had a thought in his mind that we could go down this, what's really an old road that kind of goes up where they're doing their, you know, cattle ranching and sheep here, and we decided to give it a stalk and see if we couldn't get lucky. And as we kind of worked our way around the first couple of places, you know, we didn't see anything. We encountered a couple of big stags, probably some that we had seen earlier on in our hunt, actually, because we were in a very similar area. And we were moving on to our, I don't know, it's like our second or third little drain here. And these fallow, according to Dan, really like to hang out in these bottoms a lot of times.
Stay tuned. We'll find out what happened to Wade's hunt after the break. Hey, if you're interested in hunting in a spectacular landscape of New Zealand, you can find out more information at glendenehunting.com. Americana Outdoors. I'll be right back.
Feed your need for speed. The Nitro XRT unleashes speeds up to 470 feet per second, producing 25% flatter arrow trajectory, resulting in knock-breaking accuracy and unprecedented knockdown power. The world has never seen a crossbow this fast, accurate, and compact. The Nitro XRT from 10-Point.
Americana Outdoors, presented by Garmin, has been brought to you by Bradley Smoker, food smoking made easy, Walker's Game Ear, protect it or lose it, and by Angle Coolers, rugged, durable, high-performance marine coolers. Welcome back to Americana Outdoors. We're with Wade Middleton on the fallow deer hunt in New Zealand. Now, after following along the old road where he saw a big fallow a couple of days ago, he finally spotted another one at the bottom of the valley.
And, it's great we had this flat road, because really if we had to go anywhere else, there's no way Rusty could have made it. The terrain's just too steep. So as we got around to the edge, sure enough, their palmation is so big and so large you can spot those. And we saw a great spotted one just kind of feeding along the edge over here and kind of working his way around. The wind wasn't necessarily the best for us in that situation, but Dan felt like we could get a shot. There he is, there he is.
Looking straight at us.
Stop.
Good stuff, good shot.
I tell you what, I've had a chance to be around fallow actually all my guiding life, all across Texas, and I know they're real prolific in Europe and in South America, and never thought I'd have a chance to shoot one to add to my collection in New Zealand. What's going to be kind of unique to me now is I've got them from multiple countries, and they come in chocolate and spotted, white. There's different color phases. It's definitely pretty exciting there. Thank you, Dan.
Good shot. he's a good buck.
Yeah, he's a good one. They like to roll downhill in New Zealand.
What is it? Yeah, they're all ending up right on the bottom.
They like to roll downhill here. Let's go look at him.
Yep.
We've left Rusty behind to fly the drone because he's not in health enough after his tumble to make this. So we have brought our handy dandy Angel behind. She's gonna clean the animal for us, but that's probably not gonna happen. But we were almost down to him.
He should be down on the spool here.
Yeah, he took a pretty good tumble. There he is right down there. You can see him down in the hole.
He's got big back scratchers.
Yeah, he's got big scratchers. Oh, he does have great scratchers.
Yeah,
he is almost like he's asleep right there. That's the fall area right there. Thank you, sir.
Not a problem.
Oh, how are you gonna get him out?
Huh?
How are you gonna get him out?
That's your job.
We'll be here for a while.
I think the overall experience was just spectacular because I was able to experience with so many people that I really consider friends, and it etches those memories into a spot in your brain that just is never, ever gonna go away from me. I don't wanna go. I don't wanna leave.
You can rewatch this episode or any other episodes at any time on AmericanaOutdoors.com. And remember, you can always find the Thompson Center rifles you've seen in this show at BassPro.com and Cabela's.com. Hey, thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time on Americana Outdoors. Americana Outdoors is a Careco TV production.
For precise prescription eyewear, Wiley X knows there's no room for error.
We meticulously craft our own prescription lenses to fit our high-wrap frames. And our ANSI safety-rated lenses are tested to uncompromising standards. Nothing but precise. Because precision is everything.
Want to know why the top shooting pros choose Hi-Vis? Hi-Vis has an enormous lineup of sights for every shooting platform possible that are clean looking and easy to mount. Improve your shooting with faster target acquisition and eliminate cross-eyed dominance. Hi-Vis sights are the brightest out there, helping you find your target with ease, no matter the shooting conditions. Choose the best. Choose Hi-Vis and see what you've been missing.
We demand a lot from the products that we use on our adventures around the world. When it comes to keeping things seriously cold, we rely on Angle Coolers, who have for over 50 years kept things cold. Angle Coolers, the original high-performance cooler.
What does it take to make Evercalm deer scent? It takes a deer farmer who raises whitetails. It takes mixing the special blend of Evercalm, testing each batch.
Smells like deer.
And then pouring each container. Each container is cleaned, examined, and packaged for shipping. It takes the finest deer herd and a great team of people to make the best hunting scent available. Evercalm, from Conquest Scents.
Many said that we were just obsessed when we started, that there had to be an easier way to smoke food. As time passed, the Bradley family created a lineup of Bradley electric smokers that has made it easier for the novice or even expert chef to get perfect results every time they use it. Grab yourself a Bradley smoker and take your cooking to an all-new level.
We plan all year for this. We hone our skills. We have confidence in the gear we choose. We pour over thousands of images and videos. When the time comes, will you be ready? Introducing the all-new 4K camera by Stalking. Proven.
Approximately 30,000 cases of Lyme disease happen each year in the United States. The main culprit, ticks. Stop and kill ticks in the outdoors with Sawyer's permethrin insect repellents. Sawyer, we keep you outdoors.
Protect it or lose it.
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 Protect it
or lose it.
Protect it or lose it.
Tired of forgetting to set a recording or missing the latest episode of your favorite outdoors show? Check out Outdoor Action today. Never miss a second of shows like Americana Outdoors, Cabela's Fisherman's Handbook, and Whitetail Diaries. All of this at the press of a button, without a subscription fee required. Start watching your favorite shows when you want to watch them by going to OutdoorAction.com or through the Outdoor Action channel on any Roku device.